If you ever get tired of the constant chugging, and I do, I'll admit, look, I love metal music, guys. I love many subgenres of metal. I love the chugging, I love the riffs, all that stuff's great, but sometimes I just want something a little different. Or maybe you're writing a song and you're like, this calls for something different. I just want something a little different. Well, you can take a step back and go back to the basics of just playing some simple chords. Now, these chords, though they're easy to play, there's a really dark and kind of evil undertone that we have going on here, and I'm going to explain that when we jump into this. So actually, hey, let's get into it right now, but do hang around for our guitar chat at the end. Let's play this progression out in the open, and then we'll break everything down note for note like we always do. Again, super simple progression, just 3 chords. And even though this is simple, there are some things that we're doing throughout the progression that gives it some consistency. It's like there's this one thing that you hear throughout the entire thing. I'm about to share what that is, by the way. But it just makes it consistent, and it also makes it sound a little darker, if that makes sense. And that was my purpose for doing this one thing. Well, what is that one thing? We are leaving the E string. I'm in standard tuning, by the way, guys. Most of you already know that, but for those who don't. So we're leaving that E string open throughout the entire progression here. So that's that consistent sound that you hear all the way through. And as you're playing across these other notes with these other chords that we're playing here, it just gives it a little bit darker sound, in my opinion. So that's what we're doing. Now, we're basing this on the key of D minor. Again, 3 chords, and we're playing some different chords here, guys. And I know there are some theory terms behind this, and hey, if you guys know what those are with each of the chords that we're playing, like that first one's an easy one, right? We're just playing a D without that last note. We're leaving that E string open, so a little bit different. You guys all know what that is, so hey, again, drop that in the comments if you know the actual chords that we're playing here, okay? So again, we're starting out with the D chord, but we're leaving that last string open, that E string open, but we're doing one more thing here, okay? We're actually going to play the 5th note of this chord, which is an A, and that's going to be that open A string. We're going to throw that in too. Listen to this, okay? Listen. Again, the A string is open, of course the D string is open, so all we're really fretting here are the G and B strings, right? 2 and 3, and again, that last string, that E string, is open as well. So you get a nice full sound, and that's a very common rock, hard rock, even probably in some of the classic heavy metal. That's a very common chord, right? Or way to play this particular chord here. So it just sounds cool to me. I love that sound. That open A, which again, that's the 5th note of your D. So if you're playing like a power chord, it'd be just like this here, right? The D power chord. That 2nd note of the power chord, that's called the 5th note, that's an A, so we're just playing the lower octave of that, and that's why that open A string fits so well right here. Now, the next chord that we play, we're going to make one slight change to the finger position, just one change here. We're going to move that 2nd fret of the G string, we're going to move that up to the 3rd fret. That's the only change. Everything else stays the same. So I'm going to play both chords. And by the way, I'm going to go over the picking strategy. I'm not really concerned that you learn the actual picking strategy I'm using. It really doesn't matter because we're just making this up for this lesson. I'm going to encourage you to do one thing. Hang around for that. We'll get to that in a second. Most of you know what that one thing is, but just wait for it. All right, so let's play these 2 chords back to back. Again, that next chord, we're just going to move that 2nd fret of the G string up to the 3rd. So it's going to be like this. Hopefully you're not getting tired of hearing me play it or you playing it. I hope you guys are playing along, but that's just a cool sound. I mean, just those two chords alone, you could play those back and forth and you could record yourself, right? You record yourself playing that and probably come up with some killer leads with that, man. That would be really cool. But it's just fun to play because it really, I'm kind of going off in left field here, guys, but it kind of takes you to a different place. If you're used to just chugging all the time and playing metal, even playing some of the riffs, and those are great. I love playing the heavier stuff, but when you kind of take a step back and just let those chords ring out, man, they can take you to some really creative places, okay? And then you can just kind of make up some other stuff, which we're going to play one more chord here, but hopefully that makes sense to you. All right, so we do that first chord, right, the second chord, then we go back to what we first played here one more time. Now, after we do that, we're going to play one more chord here, and this is it right here, and I'll go over the notes. Just a beautiful sounding chord. I love that. It just sounds so cool. Now that's based on a C chord. And the funny thing is we're actually not even starting out with the C note. I let the bass handle that part. It's when the bass line kind of changes a little bit, which sounds cool. Another thing to think about, guys, when you're writing music is think about where the bass is going to fill in. You may not have to play the full chord every chord, right? If you're playing a song that's based on chords like we're doing here, you may play some different stuff, and imagine that bass guitar just kind of like, you know, being the foundation of your songs. Really, the bass and drums, they're kind of the foundation. So you've got that rock solid foundation, which gives you a little bit more freedom, a lot more freedom actually on guitar to do some different things, even if the guitar by itself may not sound as full. This chord probably doesn't sound as full, but when you play it in the mix, you've got that bass, right? And I'm playing a 5. I recorded it with a 5-string bass, by the way, so I've got that really low C there. It just sounds really beautiful. Just sounds nice and full. So I just wanted to make that point, okay? Something to think about when you're writing, okay? Leave room for other instruments. So we're only playing the D, G, B, and E strings. Remember, we're leaving that last E string open. That's the consistency that you hear throughout this chord progression here, which again kind of gives it that dark sound, right? So we're going to be starting out with the D string, okay? We're going to be in frets 5, 5, 3, open, okay? One more time. Now, I want to go over the picking strategy here. And again, I'm not so concerned that you play exactly what I'm playing. I mean, I would prefer you to change it around, like pick a pattern that sounds good to you. I mean, you can certainly play what I'm playing, but here's what I'm doing. I'm doing the D, and just watch my hand, watch my picking hand here. So one thing I'll share with you is I'm playing the chord all strings except for that last string, that E string. I'm playing up to that point, and then I start arpeggiating the notes after that. So listen again. What I do is, as I'm playing that chord minus that last E string, I'm going to single pick that B string, okay? And I'm going to go back up to the G. Then I'm going to skip a string, go down to that E string, and come back up. And then I'll end on the B string again. So just watch one more time, real slow. I'm actually going to go through the whole pattern here really slow for you, because I'm pretty much doing the same across the board. So here we go. Guys, it is time for our guitar chat, but real quick, if you do not have my free practice guide, Metal Riffs and Licks, make sure you grab a copy of that. That has helped thousands of metal guitar players out there. I know a lot of you have that. Now, I do pitch my online courses. I have online guitar courses out there specific to metal. You're not obligated to purchase my courses, though, to get the free guide. You'll still get that, so grab a copy of that. There's a link in the description of this video. We went back to some basics today, guys. Not difficult. And guys, I want to make this point. Not everything has to be complicated to play to sound good. Actually, if you think about most of the popular rock and roll songs and even going into heavy metal, yeah, there's some really cool riffs, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're ultra complicated to play. Now, I am not against you creating complicated riffs. I mean, hey, that's how we get better. You want to challenge yourself, and I'm all for that. So I'm certainly not going to preach against playing fast riffs and licks. Okay, I love all that stuff. You guys hear me shred. I think I put a little taste of shred in the intro of this video just to put it in there. But when it comes to songwriting, when it comes to writing your own riffs, and you want to just write something that is kind of above all the complexity, okay? It speaks to the listener. Well, stuff like this, man, I mean, to me at least, this is very captivating. And let's say you had like this full-on metal song, but then let's say you get to the bridge of the song, and you guys remember my last lesson last week. I gave a lesson on what could be a bridge of a song. Actually, it is a bridge of a song. I explained that in that lesson. But what if you get to the point you're just shredding away and you got this heavy stuff going on, right? And then you get to this little breakdown, this little bridge, and you do something like what we did here. You can integrate these together, which sounds really cool. Or, hey, what if you just want a little bit simpler of a song, just something that kind of rings out, and you're not doing it for the sake of simplicity, you're doing it because it just sounds cool. Okay, so I just want you guys to think about this when you're writing music, when you're writing your own riffs. Not everything has to be ultra fast or ultra complicated. I'm not against that, once again, but sometimes you can fall into this trap to where everything you're playing is just super complicated, and the only people that appreciate your music is just other guitar players like me and like all of us. And I don't know about you. I mean, as much as I want you guys to love my riffs and licks and all that stuff, but I want to appeal to not just musicians, not just guitar players. I want my song to be not necessarily out there to the masses, because hey, not everybody likes heavy metal, not everybody likes rock and roll. That's okay. It's reserved just for us, right? But I want to write music and write songs that really just captivate, you know, the type of people that like this style of music. And again, that's not always going to be complex music. And guys, I hope this lesson helped you. I hope you got a lot out of it. Guys, make sure you give it a thumbs up. That helps my channel. I do appreciate that. Hey, if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, hey, please feel free to do that. You'll get notified every time I put out a new video just like this. And my job here is simply to help you guys out, to bring you more value, and I hope I'm doing that. Guys, until next time, as always, keep it metal and keep playing music.